how many people right now, I know we taught emojis, how many people is this your first time inside of VR? If you have any way to make an emoji, we're going to be teaching you a little bit about what it feels like to be in the space. I love it. I'm seeing people's hands. I know you're here. And the number one thing today is to explore, to feel comfortable, and to feel a sense of wonder. So as we look up and we notice the bubbles, and we're going to learn how to swim and levitate and all kinds of things, we're scuba diving and also focus on community. So I will say that right now you're being recorded. And I wanted to say that first off because we're on a live stream right now to YouTube feed with the Indiana Connected Educators Conference. So you can say, hi to people, or just as you're exploring, just know that you might be recorded at any time during the session. And just want to make sure that we all feel that sense of wonder and also connection in this space, and just knowing that we're creating a bridge for other people who are watching us and imagining what it feels to be here. So when we navigate around the environment now, your goal is to find flags. And when you get to a flag, don't go yet, there's a word underneath the flag that's a conversation piece. So you're going to get to a flag, and let's say underneath it says the word media. The people around you, try having a conversation with them about anything to do with media. It could be what types of media you're watching right now. It could be how you've been feeling and what you've been doing to entertain yourself. It could also be about this environment being inside VR. You might notice that certain things are more focused here in terms of media. We're not oversaturated with pop-ups. We're not texting other people at the same time. Like maybe there's a certain level of focus with media that feels pure in the space. Okay, so when you get to a flag, you're going to see conversation toolkeys underneath, and that's just a launching off point. You can have discussions about anything, but start using that word as your hook. Okay, so we're going to go around and explore the flags, and then after about, let's say 7 minutes, we're going to get to a cave. The cave is something that you could explore and find, but I'll kind of tell you it's in the direction over there by this kind of large orange rock at the base and some tubular bubble producing objects at the bottom. So you can kind of see me facing toward it. You want to go toward that cave in about 7 minutes because we're all going to be gathering in an inside cave magical space. Okay? Throw up some hearts, please, if you understand the directions of capture the flag and finding the flag talking points. You can go in any direction you want. You can soar, you can float with your scuba tools, you can explore all the fish on the way, but make your way to any flag that you like. Go to multiple flags. The 7 minutes are yours just to explore. Okay? So I'll see you in the cave in about 7 minutes. All right.
That brings us to the conversation piece on identity.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The avatar.
Jane, we're right here behind you. You're still here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm still here.
So
okay.
We were talking about identity and just starting to talk about how you feel. Hi, welcome, Simone. Hi, this is Neil, Katrina, and we've got I can see your username, Sue Sojo. But,
Sojo, yes.
Jane, Sojo. Do you feel a little different in here in terms of identity, or do you still feel the same identity? I'm just curious because for me, I do feel a certain identity core, but I like the way with VR you can kind of play with different story structures or just different ways of feeling and being. What do you think coming in here? Or even choosing your avatar. Do you feel like any kind of identity shift? What do you feel, Katrina? See.
Well,
So we
as
kinda
a
playing
first
around a
person
little.
in VR yesterday, when I was creating my avatar, I was actually thinking about it. And so I made the avatar look as close as me, but at the same time, I thought I always wanted to have red hair, but I don't want to dye them. So let me give my avatar what I can't have, the red hair.
Yeah,
That's
I
I
did the
cool.
wonder
same with
how.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the topic of, how much of what we can't have we put into our avatar, and then how many things we keep with us. The same.
Yeah.
And this is my first time. This is my first
If
time
anyone
in
needs
VR
help,
at all.
please
And
hit the
Katrina
raise hand
created my
button
avatar for me, and I haven't
that's
figured out
there
how
in
to
the
see it.
lower right corner,
So
and we'll
she
come to
has
your
red
rescue.
hair. I in real life I have no hair at all. I have no idea what she's created for me. So
For those of you who are in the feed,
So it's-
if you hold down the shift key along with the WDS,
identity is like a
you will move
surprise right
faster.
now.
Yeah.
For those
Well,
that are on a
That's
regular device,
interesting when you
just
trust
spawn a
somebody
flight
else to
tool.
create your identity for you. You kind of give them a certain amount of relational trust, saying, "Hey, you can be in charge of
there
my
is.
avatar."
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting when you're in VR. For me, I stopped even thinking about what I look like because I end up just looking around me and getting kind of lost in
Right.
wonder. I'm going into the cave. If other people want to meet me in the cave, I see Katrina in here. This is great. All right. So we have 3 categories in here. You might want to just enjoy the lionfish in here for a few seconds. And it's my favorite spot right over there. So beautiful. So if people could come in and try to form a circle in the middle of the space, that would be great. All right. As people are coming into the space, if you could try to make yourself into a circle, so just the idea of not having your back to anybody else, and seeing and feeling like there's a co-presence inside the space. We're welcoming. Just waiting for, I think a couple other people are still hanging out outside the cave. Yeah, and as you come in here, you kind of notice on the walls, maybe if you look around the cave walls here, there are 3 different words. So there's well-being, storytelling, and relationships. And if we think about any kind of group, how we could manage having maybe a class in here or a group of people that were gathering for a social, you could have words up as those keywords that people have conversations about. You could also have questions listed that people respond to. So just thinking about those words maybe as tools and hooks for conversation. Right now, I wanted us to just take a couple minutes, see if you can navigate in here over to one of the words, have a little conversation, mini conversation with somebody in the space about one of those words. And then we're going to come back together in a circle here in about 2 minutes. It's just a really brief mini conversation. So right now, pick storytelling, well-being, or relationships, and navigate yourself over to there and jump into conversation. Okay? Great. I am going over toward relationships.
like kids. I could see like putting formulas for math on the walls and letting them discover it.
Yeah. Well, and it's so relaxing, right? When you think about relationships, you could put a formula on the wall and maybe have students.
So I
Oh
was
no!
slicing
You
a
think
watermelon
they
and
could
could not smell it.
Maybe you have students that are
I'm
solving a
actually
problem on the
Orlando,
wall, and you could say, "Oh, you know, I'm going to give the megaphone to Chris, and Chris is going to explain this to the whole group." But maybe people also want to have a mini conversation in the side and not be obstructed by your voice being really loud in the middle of everybody. So that's how the megaphone
makes
works.
sense.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I'm going to use it right now so I can get people together in a group and kind of talk about this. If we can form a circle, that would be great. So right now I see Jane beside me, and yeah, Jane's moving herself. Katrina is. What I wanted to do here, you see that you have the raise hand button on the right side. If you would like to offer up any kind of reflection right now about your experience and how it's feeling being in the space, that would be awesome. We just had a talk about relationships in the corner there, and there were some exciting ideas about ways you could build relationships and also use math problem solving inside of VR. I would say think about this space and what's inspiring to you in terms of storytelling opportunities, well-being, and relationships, sometimes for ourselves, as well as for our students and the groups that we serve and work with. So if anyone has a comment or something from your group that you want to lift up and share back to the whole group, that would be great. Feel free to just raise your hand and I'll give you the megaphone. This gives me that feeling. You know, there are different ways that feeling of co-presence and feedback. You can use the emojis. Sometimes you can use them at discretion. You know, you can use them in the moments that you feel like you're animated and amplified. But just thinking about how you reach each other in a group in the space. That's why this short time we have together is something we wanted to animate. I wanted to show you all that's possible, just as kind of an appetizer, saying, okay, you know, how could I show just basic emotions that somebody else can feel? Because I know I've been speaking or leading sessions in Zoom, and sometimes you look at a Zoom audience and you're saying, have I reached you? Do you feel what I feel? You know, what are you experiencing in the moment? And here there are nuances, right? So part of what I love too about being inside here is there are different environments. So I'm going to say, if anyone has some words to throw up here, that would be great. We also have one more environment that I cannot wait to get to, because we're going to show you just a little bit of a different, beautiful, magical space as a closing here. So I'm conscious of the time, knowing that we're at 12:44 Eastern time, 9:44 Pacific time, and I'm waving to all the people in the live stream. If you can hang on here just for a few more minutes, we're going to port to a beautiful setting. As soon as we take just a last call, if anyone has something to share, I would say unmute yourself and share a word of how you're feeling right now, or share an emoji up about how you feel in the space. Yeah? Okay. All right, so this is beautiful, and I just feel gives you an idea of what you can talk about and share about in the space. And I know I've had sub-conversations. I'd invite you afterwards to also journal a little reflection and share it back. I'll send an email to everybody in this group so that you get a note after the event. We can keep in touch. And when you reflect about it after being inside of VR, that's when I find sometimes there's an amplification of emotion when you exit the space and say, oh my gosh, I just had this magical experience and I want to write about it and journal and record it. So I'll be inviting you to do something like that as a way to keep building on this experience. Lorelle, thank you so much for this magical space you're about to port us to. I'm excited. Wow, so we're porting in with people. it's so beautiful here to think about the space and also be with yourself in a different way. So you can import objects, as Lorelle was talking about, and build the space that's amazing and beautiful. What I wanted to do as a closing here with a couple minutes is just invite you again to check in with yourself and your senses. This space has been so beautifully created that you can literally look in every direction and see a new view. Maybe just practice right now looking up, looking down, looking to your left, and looking to your right. I'm especially happy that my new friend Katrina has made it into the space today here. So you've all just lifted my heart at the end of this by being together in a new way and breaking boundaries in so many different ways. So I'm extending gratitude and also inviting us in the space to feel that connection with nature as we take a deep breath in through our nose and just let it out through your mouth. As I take a second breath in and I exhale, I'm just really conscious right now as someone who leads, as we do as teachers, how often we carry things on our shoulders. And maybe some technologies like that, kind of flipping that fear into curiosity, going into a new space. And as we breathe, just think about how you owned this experience and became a part of it in a different way. Maybe even looking around the circle as you see nature, you also see somebody that you made friends with or had a different experience here that you didn't expect. So with the last breath, just that spirit of gratitude to yourself and to all of us, because the reflection invitation I want to pose is how we show up in our lives, in these spaces, with and for each other, and also for ourselves. And I love that people are sharing hearts, because for me, that's always my question. How am I showing up in this moment? And how, when challenges happen and something happens that might be out of my control, I just invite myself to play with it, roll with it, use it as an invitation. So if you want to continue the dialogue with me, you can definitely reach out to me. I'm going to send an email to everybody that's here with all kinds of invitations. I also have a book that's coming out, so I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to have a copy of that. I'm providing a special discount to this conference so that you can, it's all about navigating with wonder and looking at VR spaces and really designing experiences that are meaningful. And I'd like to say a huge thank you in terms of rolling with it and just inviting us into this magical space. Thank you to Lorelle, VanFossen, and the Educators in VR team. Thank you to Tony for being our filmer. Thank you to Mark, who is the genius behind a lot of the animations that you saw in the underwater world. Just the community there is so wonderful, and you can reach out to me as somebody that's in your community and your network. You can also join the Educators in VR team and the community there. There's a great Discord group, and there are events that are happening all the time. So I'll send you an email with all of those details, but I really just thank you for what for me has been a wonderful experience today.